great questions.
Alright guys, well, it's been a while since we reviewed something on the Vita, so we were more than happy when Metrico came around.
Metrico is a puzzle platformer with an art style inspired by infographics. Now, Darren, I get the feeling you're a big fan of these. Do you care to explain them to the Spawnlings?
Yes, please. Infographics are delightful graphical representations of information displayed visually through bar charts, graphs, and pie charts. They allow humans to absorb information much faster and retain it for longer.
Thanks for that, Darren.
You see, the human brain processes images much faster than text and numbers. In fact, around 50% of the human brain is involved in visual processing.
Yeah, thank you, Darren.
Did you know that the average human consumes an average of 100,500 words a day, which translates to roughly 34 gigabytes of data? Also,
Thank you, Darren. Now, as I was saying, Metrico uses these simple shapes as inspiration for the structures and obstacles that you'll encounter throughout the game's many puzzling levels. It also makes for a very unique look with lots of stark, empty screens that blossom with mathematical-inspired scenery.
I wasn't quite sold on the look of this game, guys, especially as those load times are just so long. I was left thinking, well, this is going to be an impressive looking game if it's taking this long, and then nothing, a white screen.
Yeah, that first level was a bit underwhelming. Fortunately, the game will start to take shape as you progress across the screens. I especially like the bits where the game syncs up with the retro science soundtrack.
This minimalist art style does help focus your attention on the game's most important feature, its unique platforming mechanics. You see, elements in each level will react differently to your actions. Platforms will slide up and down, or left and right, in response to where and how you move your character.
The objective of the game is to navigate through multiple puzzles to reach the end goal, with each screen adding more obstacles that all have their own unique set of rules. And with only a few on-screen instructions to introduce the basic controls, you'll be using a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, it certainly keeps your brain buzzing, doesn't it? Changing the rules on the fly makes for some very interesting puzzle solving, so you'll have to think outside of the box, or sometimes on top of the box, or sometimes around all of the boxes, and the box... Oh, my head hurts.
There, Goose, there. As you progress, these rule sets evolve from simple actions to less obvious ones. And just when you think you've mastered them all, you'll be introduced to a whole new set of mechanics using many of the Vita's extra functions. Later levels add tilting with the gyroscope to move platforms, projectiles that can be aimed with the rear touchpad, and you'll even need to find particular colours with your camera in order to progress through certain sections.
Unfortunately, I'd have to say these peripheral elements to the puzzles are probably the weakest part of the game. They're just so fiddly.
Yes, quite often I felt like I was fighting with the Vita as opposed to playing with it. And you also look a bit silly when you do it out in public.
It just seems like the developers were more interested in using every part of the device rather than thinking about the practicality of the controls.
Yes, I think this is a very clever game, but you don't feel very clever when you solve the puzzles. And some of those later levels will definitely stump many Spawnlings and grown-ups, but for the wrong reasons. But we should wrap this up. What are you going to give it, Goose?
I think there are some nice ideas here, but the game's just a bit too complex for its own good. Maybe a hint of a story or some dialogue would have been nice, but in the end I just wasn't having that much fun, so I'm giving it a 6.
Yes, I didn't have a great time. I'm giving it 5 out of 10.